How you guys doing? First of all, how's everyone feeling? Good. Awesome. We got a UP over here, so that's good. Okay, the title of my talk today is going to be, haha, wait, what? It's the title, and it's also the #1 response when I tell anybody I am a Saudi stand-up comedian. Exactly. So, okay. Another response I get is, what this standard comedy? This is usually, because in Saudi, comedy, stand-up comedy to be more specific, is a very new concept. It started end of 2008, beginning of 2009. So it's still relatively new. There's this newly found following for it. And the last common response I get is, I thought the Egyptians were the funny ones. So betrayal in the media kind of ignores the funny side to Saudis. We're always angry and, you know, very serious announcements and stuff like that. But I'm here to prove this wrong. I was born and raised in Khobar, Saudi Arabia, off the eastern coast of Saudi Arabia. And I started comedy in theater in middle school and high school, very humble beginnings, also in summer camps as well. And that was my first experience with comedy. I also built most of my acting skills during that period of time. And in 2002, 2009, I joined a sponsorship program by an oil company. And I went to the University of Texas at Austin to go to school there. And before that, funny, you know, there's a little fun fact here. Before that, I never had access to my passport. I had never traveled alone. And next thing I know, my dad was like, "Okay, get on a plane. Where am I going? America." What? You know, so it was a huge jump. I got culture shock was a big thing. For me, it was a big problem. It was interesting. I was cooped up in my apartment for about like a week. I think I've watched too many action movies, so I thought everybody would have a gun and things would be exploding and crime was all over the place. But I found out that it wasn't that way at all. And then a couple of semesters go by, and I become one of the most socially active people on campus. I joined every student organization I could lay my eyes on. It was like Muslim students, yes. Baha'i Student Association, yes. Iranian Student Association, yes. You know, it was like things like video game association, yes. Journalism. I joined just for the sake of joining, basically. And this is where I got my first experience doing stand-up comedy, because I was interested in this whole. I watched like a couple of stand-up comedy performances, and I thought, hey, I could do this too. So during open mic nights, there was one specifically by the Arab Student Association, and I got on stage. And I sucked very bad. Oh, it was very awkward. A bunch of Arab Americans, and I'm there cracking blonde jokes. So it wasn't really working out very well. And I had, you know, invited some of my friends for support. You know, 5 people left. Those were my friends. So then a friend of mine decided, hey, instead of just trying out stand-up comedy, why don't you observe stand-up comedy? Why don't you go see what they're doing first before you try it out yourself? Okay, yeah, that's a smart advice. So I did, and I went to a bunch of local comedy clubs, the Velveeta Room, Esther's Follies in Austin, Texas, but my real start was with the open mic night at the Cap City Comedy Club. They usually give beginners about 3 to 10 minutes, a slot of 3 to 10 minutes. They gave me 2. So they really didn't think I was going to be that funny. I got on stage, and I remember one of the things that I noticed about my jokes at first were they weren't representing me. I was trying to cater too much to the audience. I needed, you know, to be comfortable with my own identity as a Saudi student at the University of Texas at Austin before I do anything. So I did, and I was like, okay, I'm a Saudi international student in America. I'm sure that's funny at some point. So I got on stage, and I was like, hi everyone, my name is Fahad. So I just want to say that I'm here. I'm a student at the University of Texas at Austin from Saudi Arabia. I know, you know? And they started laughing right away. They got the joke. It was post 9/11. It was funny at the time. So, so they were like, oh, wow, yeah. And it was a 2 to 3 minute set, and it really went well. And I went back again to the Cap City Comedy Club a few times before I graduated in 2007 and had to go back to work for the oil company that was sponsoring me. At that point, I said, okay, that was cool. I did stand-up comedy. I can brag about that, but that's about it. I'm never going to do stand-up comedy ever again. Until a friend of mine told me, hey, you make this stand-up comedies, you're funny, right? There is this event in Bahrain, and he sent me a link on Facebook. See, here's where the social networking takes part. I got the notification on Facebook. I checked out the page. Oh my God. It was Ahmed and Jobrani performing live as part of their Access of Evil comedy tour in Bahrain. And I thought, wow, maybe I should open for them. And he was like, wait, how? There are no auditions. You never know. So I sent a Facebook message to the admin of the group. And I'm like, oh, I would love to audition to be an opening act. And he replies, how did you know we had auditions? And I was like, I don't know, I shot in the dark and, I was lucky. So I went and auditioned at Costa Coffee. There were no real facilities for us to try out our material. And I'm there, outdoors. They're sitting on, drinking coffee, and I'm up there cracking jokes. Everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. So they loved it. They loved my material. The fact that it was, drawing on my own background as a Saudi, especially some jokes that were relating to the audience as part of the GCC. And I was one of 5 opening acts in Bahrain. That was in October 2008, and I was lucky enough to meet and kind of learn from the experience of both international comedians. And from there on, a friend of mine, currently a friend of mine, I met this guy called Khalid Khalifa, another guy who came to me from the crowd in Bahrain, and he was like, hi, I'm a Saudi stand-up comedian too. I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, like I'm going to believe that. And he's like, no, I'm trying to organize a show in Saudi. What? Yeah. Okay, call me. Here's my number. Right? I didn't want to take part in organizing the whole thing, and I was a little worried about how it would be received in Saudi, and let alone Riyadh, because it's a very conservative city. And little did I know that in February 2009, I was performing in front of 1,200 people in the audience in Riyadh, with Ahmed and a bunch of other local comedians that I had no idea existed. And it was amazing. Since then, we've performed in over 25 comedy shows since then in 2009. And I also managed to be a part of the Amman Stand-up Comedy Festival competition in 2009. And I was one out of 65 English-speaking comedians to be chosen to take part. And I met 2 of my other idols, Russell Peters and Gabriel Iglesias. And it was cool, and they were making fun of me, and so that was cool. And they told me I looked like Humpty from Digital Underground. So anyway, that was the joke that I got out of the whole thing. And I also, because of this, got invited to take part in the New York Arab American Comedy Festival, May 2010. And they liked it so much that they chose me for the Best of the Fest night of that festival. But that's as far as stand-up comedy goes. However, I felt like I was neglecting a lot of my other creative parts, like writing, acting. It's a natural transition for a stand-up comedian to want to do acting. So I decided maybe I should start doing that. Maybe I should start working into getting into TV, for example. But the thing is, the Hollywood dream is not really applicable in the region, especially with mega networks in Saudi Arabia. A lot of stuff is done in-house, the casting, the production, the writing. So you got to have a foot in the door. And I was still contemplating and still doing comedy shows. And then I decided, you know what, screw this. I'm going to get on YouTube. I'm going to do something on YouTube. And I was lucky enough to also do a tour of the GCC doing stand-up comedy. And during these events and during these comedy shows, I was performing with Gabriel Iglesias, and it was all over the GCC as well. It was in Khobar, Riyadh, Dubai, and Doha. I managed to meet a very talented director, Ali Kalthami, who is based in Riyadh. And he then introduced me to our current cameraman, very talented photographer, which is really interesting, Ala Yusuf, from also based in Riyadh as well. He had never gotten into video before this. So this was his very first experience. But one thing we got out of this is high definition. He was obsessed with high definition. Everything had to be HD. So that was cool, and that gave us the simplicity of the show, as well as the format of the show really attracted a lot of people. And I had to recruit fellow comedian Ibrahim Khairallah as a writer on the team. I don't know if you guys saw him, but he was on Arab's Got Talent recently. And yeah, so he is the voice behind the crocodile on the show, and also a co-writer of the show. And that's how Like was born. Like is a YouTube channel. We have been getting a lot of views. We've been getting about 300,000 views on each of our videos at least. And it's really cool. And we've only had like 5 episodes, and we're still getting like major following from a lot of people. We weren't the first, comedy show that was based in Saudi to get on YouTube. Al Butairi as well. Umar Hussein, a friend of mine as well, was on YouTube. He got there before we did, actually. And he was telling me, you don't have to be the first, you just have to strive to be the best, which really, really got to me. And we're now friends and we're competing, so that's cool. And we managed to get the #1 most subscribed to channel in Saudi Arabia with over 25,000 subscribers. And after looking at other statistics, I think it's one of the highest in the region. I was really surprised at that. And we have been getting approached by the TV, the very people I was trying to contact at first. Ooh, you know. So now we're having talks with a bunch of major networks in the region to start some kind of a comedy show, a little related to likes or of the like. And I'm really hesitant at getting on TV, and there's a reason, because there's this whole new media movement. And I've talked to a couple of friends of mine in Google Middle East and North Africa for some statistics to back my opinion. And basically, La Iqtar is in Arabic. It's an Arabic-speaking show with English subtitles. And the reason a lot of people were saying, why would you do that? You know, in English it probably would be funnier, like, you know, other comedians on YouTube, like Ray William Johnson or Kasim G, and you would get more fans that way. I kind of doubt that, because the top search term in Saudi Arabia is YouTube in Arabic. So that's interesting. Also, 80% of Saudi creators on Google are in Arabic. And Saudi Arabia is also the 3rd in the world when it comes to YouTube mobile playbacks. Normalized to population, it's #1. They really like entertainment there. Also, the reason we use social media or social networking to promote the show as well, as opposed to advertising on TV or other forms of traditional media, is that we have about 2.94 million Facebook users in Saudi Arabia, and the website gets about 5,000 members every day. So that's a substantial amount of people to reach out to. And we've been getting 300,000 views each, which is kind of equivalent, when normalized to population, to 7.32 million views if we were in the United States. So that's pretty cool. And other statistics that are related to YouTube or internet versus TV in general are, there's a statistic, or there's a study that was done by Effective Measure, a group in the Middle East and North Africa. It covered majorly Egypt and the GCC countries, and it shows that the internet retains a substantial audience throughout the whole day, when traditional TV peaks in viewership at night or in the evenings. However, email and social networking are the most popular online activities for internet users in the Middle East and North Africa. And the last part, which is really interesting, of the respondents, 88% say, or that's almost 90%, right, say they access the internet daily. Only 71% said they watch TV every day. So to us, that is kind of like keeping us comfortable within the realm of YouTube, but we are considering seriously moving into TV. And what I want you guys to get out of this is, if you think you're funny enough, you think you're good enough, you think you can produce content that's good enough, get on YouTube. Get on YouTube, and trust me, people will notice, people will reach out to you, and the very same people you were trying so hard to prove yourself to will end up calling you and begging you to come. So that also goes back to the concept of mind shift. If you can, put your mind to it, it can really happen. Thank you very much, and that's it. Thank you.